Let's go.
Welcome to the Soul Fam podcast, where we expand your personal universe. I'm Diana Marquetta, and in each episode, Soul Fam co-founder, co-creator Lexi Strummer-Solden and I interview the world's most rising and longtime experts in consciousness, spirituality, entertainment, healing, and science. From Earth's dimensions and dimensions way, way beyond. On the Soul Fam podcast, our frequencies are high and your heart chakras will open as these powerful voices of today share cutting-edge research, profound experiences, and valuable knowledge for your world in this out-of-this-world, thought-provoking, envelope-pushing interviews that could only take place right here on the Soul Fam podcast. Welcome to the Soul Fam podcast. On today's interview, we have Yuri, who is a healing practitioner, who we met at a spiritual conference. She has a website called Heal with Yuri. She has a fascinating background, and she utilizes a number of modalities to heal, to help people with trauma, to bring them to their highest selves. I understand it's hypnosis, a little bit of plant science, and or perhaps as you move forward, a lot of plant science, which I'm dying to know more about, as you were brought to Los Angeles to do that sort of work, and to also understand how you use hypnosis. Is that correct?
Yes.
With past life regression. Okay, tell us about your work, because it's really fascinating, and I know that from our experience with you and connecting with you, people have really transformed, have spent years prior to this maybe working on themselves, but working with you and working with the plant medicine, they transform very quickly. Would that be about right?
Yeah, I do have to say that working with some of the plant modality has been the quickest way for people to heal through their traumas and have an understanding of what's going on, both spiritually, emotionally. So yeah, that really made some differences in people's lives. So yes, my name is Yuri. I'm a healing practitioner. I go as moon priestess, a hypnotherapist, and many more. So I became a healing practitioner about 18 years ago once I got connected to, whether you call it God or divine. And then I had one foot in the world of three-dimensional world as a fashion designer, merchandiser, and the other foot in a healing practice. I was given that I am a medical intuitive 18 years ago, but I had no idea. I didn't know anything that I know now back then. And I just knew that, well, I better eat some organic food and transform to become a holistic lifestyle counselor, working with herbs and superfoods, understanding where people are struggling from physically and not seeing the results of eating clean food and diet and exercise, still not healing, led me to understand the deeper emotional state where it would actually be generating from. So that made me to study deeper energies, Taoism, and hypnotherapy. So now I'm actually a clinical certified hypnotherapist. So I do work with, along with as a treatment, if you call it, breathwork is one of my modality. Regression therapy that includes psychotherapy and plant ceremonies, shamanic ceremonies. I understand that all symptoms that we are dealing with physically, emotionally comes from unhealed wounds that hasn't been processed. And how I guide people is to just open that up, utilizing different modalities such as hypnotherapies and plants.
So you started this practice not here in California, is that correct?
Well, actually, I started from 18 years ago in California, working with different types of healers over in from different worlds. And 4 years ago, I was guided to move to Sedona. So that's where I did majority of my practice from. And about a year ago, I was guided back to go out to the world again because Sedona is a very special place. It's not necessarily where I would say people have access to see me in regular basis. It's a once in a lifetime retreat type of opportunity where people will make a decision to come to, and a very specific type of people would come to Sedona. Not everybody who come even to Sedona gets to experience the healing retreats.
Mm.
And somehow I was guided back, moved back to LA because there are a lot of people who you're gonna have to engage. So as I moved back, I started my product line, the plant product line that is assisting people to get better with their emotional state that will lead for them to better in their physical health as well.
It's part of the reason you were brought back to California also because there's a fairly strong spiritual community here, and there, whether there's a spiritual community or not, actually, people are open to healing and they're more open to certain kinds of healing modalities. And of course, it's a
Yes.
very creative place. People are open to, they want to elevate themselves for a variety of reasons.
People in California are definitely a lot more open to receive this because the modality that I practice could be very foreign, and
Mhm.
people may not understand or have even here in California, some people are afraid to try something like this. Even hypnotherapy, people are a little scared to try something like this. But compared to any other state in USA, I would say is the most open. And also, there are a lot of people who are struggling.
Mm. Yeah, we understand that. I mean, I relate to that. So, Lexi, do you feel that way too? That sort of our community is
Oh yeah,
open and
just in terms of jobs and what's going on. Yeah, everyone's kind of feeling like they're being tossed around and having a hard time. I mean, for me, what I'm trying to do, and you're phenomenal, Yuri. You've got the most amazing presence. To be in Yuri's presence is to have a otherworldly metaphysical experience. From the minute we walked up to your table, it was like we stepped into some sort of heavenly goddess realm. So I just wanted to say that right away. For me, what I'm trying to do right now is feel into what sort of herbs and plants my body wants. So right now, I'm just really going for the basics: turmeric, cinnamon, shatavari, just things like that. And so when it comes to working with people who are maybe scared to just jump in right away, but they're struggling, like you say, where would be a good place for them to start letting go of some of that fear if they would like to, work with you in one of those intense spiritual retreats?
So I say that, yeah, well, I offer a variety of different modalities where people can join in and where they are at. So I offer intuitive readings, card readings is something that people can very easily join in and feel the presence of what I offer. People do get very comfortable and relaxed when they're in my space. So that's the first thing they can do, and we can simply do counseling work first. And then if you are interested in doing a little bit more deeper work, that's where I offer inner child healing work, past life regression work, which is the regressing hypnotherapy work to understand where these wounds and challenges that you're dealing with right now came from. So that's a regression work. Most people are open to that. Um, so that's the step number 2, along with breath work. My breath works are very deep guided breath work ceremony. And that is another way for you to engage some of your past traumas and able to release. So those are some easy work, and those were the major work that I have done from Sedona with the retreat centers. And then not only because it's very popular these days as a part of the plant ceremony, but I also work with these type of flowers and plants and mushrooms that can deepen your healing journey. I would say doing one shamanic plant or flower ceremonies would excel maybe 10 therapy sessions.
Wow.
I would say that you will get the results from. So because everyone knows what is healthy, being a healthy human being, being in a healthy relationship, in a healthy body. Everyone knows in their conscious mind. It's the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind that is always pulling you back to toxic relationships or bad habits. And that is where I focus on.
Is there some neuroscience that's associated with this as well, especially in the plant therapy? So, for instance, I mean, we talk about the subconscious, and I always think, I just control my mind. However, getting into those sort of like, I'm in this habit, or my brain is associated to having this sort of connection or experience with whatever it might be. I don't have enough, or I'm whatever it might be, or cookies. So does the flower itself, or does the plant itself change the chemistry of your brain a little bit?
Well, it does. It does many different things in our brain, our field spiritually. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I think of many scientists and um, medical doctors are now navigating because they need the proof to make it a little bit more easier on people. So there are many studies and tests being done, which makes my job easier. People are much open to working with natural remedies and herbs, and that's all I have done from 18 years of my as a healing practitioner. I always work with herbs and superfoods and plants, trees, and flowers. I believe in them, and that's also the first thing that was introduced to me, where it was given to me as when you're looking at the trees and plants, that is your Bible. And a lot of people, this is the whole, it's there isn't a separate building that we go into. The nature is actually our church. And all those elements of the plant, trees, and flowers are the words from the nature. So once you actually open this psyche and connection, then you will be able to hear what the nature wants to tell you. And I now understand why it was called the Bible. From my first teacher, Anastasia, she taught me through the book, but basically that's where all our wisdoms, all our knowledge does come from. I'm not the most smart, like intelligent scientist, but I communicate with each spirit of these elements and then understand what they want to teach us, what they want to provide for us. And that's how I work with them.
So, for instance, like it's been recommended to both Lexi and I to try Blue Lotus, and I really want to talk more about your mushrooms as well. But for instance, or does it create? Is there a language or an interaction that happens between myself and the flower, or myself and the mushroom?
So if you're seven chakras plus your psyche is opened up, then you should be able to communicate with mushroom spirits, flower spirits, plant tree spirits.
Mm.
And many people do have that commune with them. It is also the communing with the divine. Divine isn't necessarily like a white, beard man that's sitting on the heaven. The God presence is in every element through the nature. And you could really hear or see their messages through if your channels are open. Our channels as in humanities are probably most blocked at this time being because of all the conditions that is put on us. The TVs and the movies and dramas and social medias, school system, religions, big corporations and government. They are our conditions living in modern society that is actually blocking our flow of the channel. So for me as an intuitive, I don't even read books anymore because I don't want any of my channels to be blocked for me to connect to the truth. I
Because the
watch
divine
no
will
movie,
share
no
that.
TV. Yes.
Do you feel like our food, our water supply, our, whatever it is that we sort of ingest, do you feel the same way that it creates blocks for us from
Oh, absolutely. Well, the most pure water comes from the nature, right? So the best water for us are the spring water that's been through the rocks and the throughout the nature. That's the best water for us. Comes from the nature. If you alter and put them in a plastic bottles with all kinds of chemicals, if you are intuitive enough, you can feel the energy that comes from there. You can feel if the water is dirty or chemically altered. You can feel that. I mean, they all have different spirits. I mean, I think it's already known. I think the one of the Japanese doctor, had tested all the spirit and the shapes of the water element being changed. So yes, and as a creator, divine us, we also have the ability to actually shift that structure to also from the negatives as well. So that's where I'm at with like I don't want anything to what doesn't mean go out and drink a bunch of tap water, but don't be afraid with what you're engaging. Be intuitive enough. So if you're picking the water from a grocery store, pick a spring water in a glass bottle, but that doesn't mean that you have to live in fear that you don't have a good source of water.
Right, exactly. It's interesting too. I was about to take a drink of water, and it's crystal geyser water for whatever. And I was thinking, oh, I should, I don't know, send a little vibration to that water. I don't think about that, but it's important.
Yeah, you can charge it, right? You can charge the water with intention. I forget to do it too,
Yes.
but
So the thought is the most powerful force in our energetic field on our earth. So your thought, your pure intention is going to shift the water structure the most than any other chemicals or things that people do, even
Process,
the people
right?
put crystal. Your thought had when it is in higher frequency is the most effective way, actually.
So can we get to your mushrooms? Does that elevate our frequency?
So the mushroom that I work with, so every plant and mushrooms and flower, they have a different frequency.
Okay.
Amanita frequency is a very high frequency. And that's the reason why our spiritual leaders have utilized these Amanita and Blue Lotus in their spiritual practice, right? They don't use cilantro in their spiritual practice. Cilantro is great. It's great for your physical well-being, but hundreds of different vegetables and herbs are not being utilized in their spiritual practice historically. They have, and there is a reason why they are, and that is because the spirit of Amanita, for example, are the spirit of love, the divine. And that's why they were able to connect to divine force.
I mean, the Blue
What's
Lotus.
the background? Because you just
Sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say the Blue Lotus is why I beelined over to your table at that convention, because I hadn't seen it since a fellow spiritual practitioner of mine had brought some back from Egypt. So I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen legit Blue Lotus in 3 years. And as somebody who right now, I'm not, just a super psychoactive mushroom experience is not for me. I know that I can tolerate Blue Lotus in very little bits. And for me, I find it very healing. And I saw it, and that the Blue Lotus was what drew me to you initially.
Yeah, so Blue Lotus doesn't really need so much of explanation. People, these are very feminine. These are very psychic flower. They are not psychedelic, and they're very mild. But that's why I call it goddess flower. They used it in goddess temple actually. First of all, and look at the color. They are they're called Blue Lotus, but they are kind of purplish, which is connecting to our crown and third eye, right? And then that's exactly what they do. They activate and they work with those chakras. Third eye activator. That's what this flower is for. Very beautiful flower, amazing to just consume for your skin benefits, but most importantly, they are channel openers, especially the upper chakra opener. So helps to open your heart and just kind of like goes to the top. And when you are able to properly consume, you will have that experience of really connecting to divine in your dream state. They will help you with lucid dreaming and also helps you when you're meditating.
How does it help with your skin? I have to dive into that.
Because they are highly anti-inflammatory and anti-wrinkle, antioxidant.
Oh.
So they are they're beautiful. That's what they bathed with and washed faces with and made oil to put on their skin.
And so when you say the goddesses, I know we're talking about high priestesses as well. What culture would that be?
So they are from like a middle, sort of like a middle area, very popular in Egypt and Middle Eastern areas, among India, even Thailand, that middle area where there are a lot of like lakes around because they kind of grow on those lakes, river lakes areas. So, and then they've been utilized for thousands of years.
Right. I was in Sri Lanka a few years ago, and one of the locations that I went to, I'm going to mispronounce it, but Serengeti. There was, at the lower level, there was sort of the goddess bathing location. So that all the girls would gather to bathe. And I'm curious, that must have been my sense was that's at Serengeti. That must have been one of the essences they used to bathe in.
Yeah. So all these lilies, lotus grow from the river lakes area, and we usually have a lot of those old history stories, fairy stories from these lakes with fairies or goddesses bathing in the water with the lilies. And I have my own pink lotus story from my country where I came from, how this represents the pure heart, very beautiful heart.
Tell us. Where are
that
you from?
I'm originally from Korea, and we have a story of this beautiful girl who has sacrificed herself and died for the better of her father, and she incarnated through Pink Lotus. So that's a story that I grew up with. So it's a very powerful medicine, actually.
Interesting. So you were drawn to the Amanita mushrooms, or you
Mhm.
were guided to them? Is that how that came about? And where are they essentially originally
From
from?
So for me, because I work with all kinds of herbs and flowers and plants already, so people knew that I work with these elements. And one of my best friend somehow got to know about Amanita, and she just kind of introduced it to me. So I was connected to this Russian gentleman named Alex from Siberia, and he was like very excited to bring the mushroom to USA. So I first got a bag of tea, and that's when I started communicating with them. Because usually, what I do is I usually communicate with those plants and flowers to see what they want to do with me. And some of them they don't want to work with me, and some of them they want to work with me. So with Amanita has been almost like I would say, they led me to having just a bag of tea to now I had created this entire line of Amanita. And I have tincture lines, skincares, edibles, and a lot of things that you can enjoy them and get a benefit from by just microdosing, taking a little bit in your daily life. Not You don't need to do a serious ceremony with them. You can just incorporate in as like I would say like a spiritual, emotional supplement.
So if I'm feeling a little down, or even if it's like, I mean, I have to have coffee first thing in the morning, but could you do something like that instead to sort of stay level or
Definitely,
to maintain your energy?
yeah, definitely. Different way to prepare it, but they would do many different things, but they will definitely give you a lot of energy. At the same time,
Hmm.
they can also relax you. It's incredible how one mushroom can do two very different things depending on how it's being prepared.
Oh, is that it? Is it based off the preparation, or is it based off sort of that the body connects with it as to what it needs?
Both will do, but how they are being prepared, one way will give you more energy that you need for the daytime. So I have
Huh.
created this tincture called AM. So you get more energy and focus and motivation type of deal. And then the other version would be I would cook it for long period of time. And then that will immediately just put you to more calming state and help you with sleeping, supporting to get through your PTSD, traumas type of
Wow.
thing. But again, because our bodies are very different individually, we have different shapes and uh, different different structure a little bit here and there, right? So they will work a little differently, and as long as you're open to work with it, they will be beneficial. But some people, if they get this healing crisis, which happens with a lot of the plants, if they are powerful plant, they can give you healing crisis. So you may throw up a little or have some discomfort in the beginning. If you can just get over it, it should be very healing as you're going through. The reason why you're experiencing some of that purging would be because you need to purge, but then people mistake that as, oh, there's something wrong. I don't resonate with this. But most of the plant medicines, they will purge you first.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I've heard that, and I've certainly had people talk with me about their experiences where they sort of end up in a bucket for a while. But um, but they agree wholeheartedly that that's part of the purge. Once they're through that, things seem to sort of crystallize and open for them. And I'm not necessarily talking about the Amanita mushrooms, but in general.
Yes.
So,
Well, Amanita mushroom microdosing really shouldn't give you that. I would say with 1 out of 1,000 people may have an experience of a purging by microdosing. If you are going to do a serious ceremony, more people will experience the purging. But microdosing of the lotus or amanita should not give you that kind of reactions.
and again, I'm sorry, the Amanita are from Siberia, from Russia?
So the one that I work with are from Siberia. I work only with Siberian Amanita, but they are growing from all over the world. That's why it was utilized from all over the world. The reason why I work with Siberian Amanita is because I have that background from my ancestry. So, I have Mongolian and Siberian ancestors from my background. So I connect with that medicine the most.
That's so cool. I know Lexi, as soon as we walked in, asked if you had some sort of connection
to Siberia.
Mongolia or
Oh,
Siberia.
I know. I've got Russian and Eastern European and, on my side. And I definitely, just one look at you, you are I don't even know I was just mesmerized. I couldn't stop.
I'm sorry, could you say that again, Lexi? We had a little lag in your internet. Well, anyway, so, but that was her sense, Yuri, was that that was your background. So do you feel like because of that DNA connection that you connected with the mushrooms?
Right. Right, because I wasn't connecting to some of the plants to work with me. Like I was introduced to ayahuasca plants 18
Mhm.
years ago when I first started this journey, but I was never drawn to work with that plant. Although I do love what ayahuasca can do, and I always refer people to go do ayahuasca ceremony in the right places. But I personally connect to mushroom. I have grown mushrooms before myself and many different types of mushrooms, and I work with them, and they work well with me. So I work with them in the place where I can um, I can understand different spirits of the mushrooms and what
Uh-huh.
they can do. Where I'm from, I just have a lot of that connections, both amanita and some other mushrooms. I have a deeper connection with them.
Do you feel like it's because you understand it or because it's easy for you just sort of naturally connect with it?
I say both. It's just it just connects me to my origin. It connects me to where I'm from, and also connects me. It's so natural for me to work with them.
Right. So if I were to do a session with you using those or the amanita mushrooms, what would that process sort of look like or feel like?
So, what easy sessions would be you just do a microdosing. In that case, you will gradually receive the benefits. And when you're doing serious, deeper, like shamanic sessions, and that's when you're gonna be in a very different state than your normal state. You are going to connect to your subconscious throughout different way that I guide,
Mhm.
and you will be able to discover something that you weren't able to through just the conscious mind. You will visit some of these other areas, whether it's your past lives, past histories or incidents. Those are very common, and have may be able to discover these perceptions that you never thought that could connect to your challenge.
Would that include an ancestral connection as well?
Absolutely, yes,
Interesting.
because
That's
they
one thing.
are connected.
Yeah, that's one thing we talk a lot about, and it's still a bit of a mystery to me, although I find it super intriguing. And trying to understand sort of the trauma of my ancestors and how that shows up in my body, in my thinking, in my actions, in my family's experience as well.
So we have our lineage. This is the reason why I connect to Mongolians and Siberia. I knew that before this mushroom journey, I knew that I was originated from Mongolia, and that's why I also connect to Native Indians very well, and then they connect with me very very much. So we have this lineage from physical DNA generation that stems from me through that ancestry, right?
Mhm.
So we have this physical connection throughout that you cannot deny. You just can't. It's just within us. All that your mother and grandmother and your ancestor went throughout thousands of years, ever since we were created on this earth, you have all of that's called the Akashic record,
Mhm.
right? So we have all the connections throughout that we inherited. So you not only look like your mom and grandmas and your ancestors, right? But your physical DNA, that's why we have some inherited physical symptoms. But that's not just on physical emotion code that we received are also generated throughout their lineage
Got
as well as our spiritual practice. Even though we deny that, well, I'm no longer Buddhist, I'm no longer Christian, there is a belief system that was generated down to where I am, and that is driving what we do and what we engage, right?
it.
However, where we are at right now is we are extremely awakening state with our soul from wait a second, I'm not gonna live as what the Akashic records say who I am, but let me see what else I can do. And then there is this conflict happening from our soul just wanting to experience more and control that's given to us again throughout the ancestry battling through right now, which what we call spiritual war right now that is happening, right?
Was it a spiritual
So
wall?
that's something that
Did you say
spiritual,
spiritual wall?
spiritual,
Wall.
right?
And the conflict with the energy from the ancestors and our soul wanting to expand creates an inner conflict. Is that right?
Correct, right? Correct,
Oh,
Wow, that
right.
resonates.
yeah. Now that makes sense.
So we are awakening out of matrix. We are trying to take different color of the pill as we're awakening right now. It's not even a red or blue. It's like we're wanting to choose a different color of pills right now. And what I can say is Amanita or Blue Lotus can absolutely help you to create your own color of the pills as you are going through this awakening journey.
You know what's interesting about the Blue Lotus is
I want to go
after,
back.
oh, I don't know. Me? Yeah, I was just going to say it. I hadn't thought about the connection between the Blue Lotus and how my own breath work and meditations had improved since sampling a little bit from you at when we met you. And I've been part of a couple
Yeah,
year long magical workings where every week or two we're sitting there doing this very intense breath work, visualization, and I did notice after we met you and I sampled Blue Lotus that my notes were more vivid, my experience was more potent, my dreams had greater meaning that I could untangle. And I literally did not realize that there was a direct connection. And it is absolutely there.
right. It's a taking you to the higher frequency, higher rim, because we're so stuck in this very much of the lower rim of the earth on very lower frequency. Because all we're given was, like I said, all this conditioning is that it wants to bring us down in lower frequency because it's easier to control in that case. If we have a higher frequency, which is going with love frequency is a lot higher than fear frequency. You all know that, right? So if we're in that love frequency, it's very difficult to control because the frequency wants to be free rather than under the fear. So what Amanita frequency helps you with is to bringing that frequency to a higher place because they have that love frequency. They are the love frequency spirit. Their spirit is all about like fearless love and joy and happiness. Like when you look at Amanita, you will automatically be like, what a great looking, cute little mushroom. Immediately you get this very positive reaction looking at it. It's not very intense. It's just very bright. Just from the physical has this very happy, beautiful essence. And when you actually have them within you, all it wants to do for you is to get the fear out of you.
If you have a lot of fear in you, are you going to have an even stronger reaction?
It's possible that your body could react to that. So you have to be in a certain place where you are ready to receive this medicine. Because if you have so much fear, then they're gonna fight you. They're gonna wanna like we want fear out of you. So they're gonna wanna stay and ground within you. But then the fear would be like, well, we wanna stay in this body because this is where we belong. And then they're like, well, but as long as I'm in, then I don't really want you in here. So they kind of have that, like I said, the spiritual battle that is going on is what they also represent.
Can you hold up a bag or a canister of them?
Oh, of the Amanita?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Let me see if I can find a good bag.
Look at that crescent moon behind Yuri. You see it, Diana? Crescent moon. There it is.
All right, here we are. So this is this is a ceremonial grade Amanita mushroom. So a lot of my spiritual friends who loves to create their altar space, they like to have that. So you can, of course, eat them, but they love having this presence on their altar and just looking at them. There's an energy emanating out of this jar. So this is how it looks.
That's sort of what I felt when we were at the
Event.
get together. Yeah, at the event, that I kept looking at them because of their colors and their variations and their shape, and they sort of, to me, from a distance, look a little bit like roses and hearts, and there's sort of different shapes. Mushrooms aren't always like the most attractive looking things. So, like, it's not really a mushroom. But they're kind of they're very pretty, and those sort of autumn colors, that amber sort of feeling.
Yes.
That I have around them. It's really interesting.
Very attractive looking. The colors are very vibrant. I mean, this is dry version. Just wait until you actually see the actual, just the raw outer forest. I mean, it's very magical if you get to actually see them in person.
I'm just curious, what conditions are they grown under?
Under pine trees or birch trees. They grow right underneath them. And they grow only in the forest under them, so it's not possible to harvest them at your home or in your garden unless you live in very northern part of the world. It works. It's just better for the cold climate.
Right. That's what I was curious if the soil has to be. I mean, generally in a cold climate, there tends to be quite a bit on the soil to begin with. to sort of protect it and keep moisture in, and sort of there's usually a pretty good layer of leaves and pine needles and that sort of thing.
Right.
They seem very rich, is my sense.
Right. So they grow really well under the pine trees. Pine trees are also one of the most very powerful trees that we are engaging with. Pine tree oils are also excellent for our physical benefits, and they are the host for Amanita.
Mm-hmm.
So she just basically soaks in all what the pine trees are offering, as they are the friend. And between pine oil and Amanita, I mean, that's probably, I would have to say, the most powerful plant medicine that you can utilize.
I've never heard that before. Have you, Lexi, about using pine oil?
Pine oils
Yeah, I know
are
there's
excellent.
trees. Yes.
Fun.
I talk to the trees and I love the trees. I've never harvested a tree oil myself, but I love cypress. It's probably my favorite smell of all time, cypress oil. But I wasn't aware of pine oil either.
Yeah, pine oils are other miracle oils that you can utilize in your practice. I mean, we live in a very toxic environment, so we can definitely use some good help, right?
Right.
We want to eat healthy and cleaner and all these super plants and mushrooms and flowers. If we could get the benefit, I would like to. I mean, if you go to the supermarket, I get completely just like bummed out by the collections that normal supermarket. I don't usually go to normal supermarket, but sometimes you have to go, right? There isn't anything around. Then I get amazed with there's no food in the middle aisle. They have some natural food surrounding the best, other than vegetable and fruit. 80% of the groceries are boxed and manufactured and altered, and no wonder we are living in sick society.
Really interesting. How do you plan, or what's your hope to sort of spread this knowledge and the availability of these kinds of mushrooms? This is just Los Angeles, there's a lot of us that are struggling with things, or although there's a lot of powerful people here too. So this is just one community. So yeah. I'm just curious how you sort of hope this might get around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to just be with very small community of Los Angeles. Obviously, that's why I do go out and speak and go out and do events and expos as well to share. There are other ways for us to help heal and be with. My purpose in this life is to get people out of pharmaceutical drugs, unnecessarily pharmaceutical drugs. And it's hard for me to be with human beings when they're suffering. And that's the reason why I do what I do. And I find working with some of these plants are just much quicker and faster way to activate people. So that's what I do. I like to inspire people and activate people to give the power back to you, so that you can utilize your gift to make the world a little better place than yesterday as you heal yourself. And just like you guys, what you're doing is amazing, spreading the love. And together, I believe that we can make some differences.
Thank you. Yeah, we feel that way too, right? Yeah, we can embody that love. That would be very cool. That could shift a lot. I'm going to ask one more question, and then I want to be sure that our audience knows how to get in touch with you, all of that sort of great thing. But do you ever do any sort of work with neurodivergence or, people who are struggling with ADHD or something like that? Is that one of the other applications or, because we can talk a lot about trauma and we can talk about other sort of psychological drugs, but I'm curious about the neurodivergence aspect of it.
So specifically with like ADHD or so amazingly, they happen to be the best friends with ADHD. People suffering from ADHD will get a great benefit by incorporating that into their life. It's almost like, they go hand in hand because they will give you two things. The number one, they go into your body and regulate your nervous system. Our nervous system is in this mode of a fight or flight. This always under stress. That's the design of our modern society right now. So we don't know how to relax our body and mind. And when we are relaxing, what do? We either watch a very violent, dramatic movie, or we get on social media, which is going to also give you another version of that. So our mind doesn't shut up. Our mind doesn't shut up, doesn't know how to relax, and then our physical body does not know how to relax either. That's where all our physical symptoms, because I believe that all our physical symptoms are manifestation of unhealed wounds, unhealed blockages that we hold from our emotional flow. So then that's where we are just, it becomes a normal for us to think of 1,000 thoughts at the same time. And we have to do many different things at once. I mean, I experienced it too, living in the modern society, how many things that I have to get it done. And so your mind can rest. What happens to you when your mind gets rest and you're able to get proper sleep, right? And you are able to think better, function better, and focus better. That's why you can focus. It's not made for ADHD or focus, but because your mind and body can rest properly, so you can focus in one thing, get it done. I mean, you get very motivated with these guys. You get very inspired, and a lot of motivation and creativities will stems out of having them in your life. That's what happened to myself and many others that I been testing and engaging with. And again, because emotionally you're bringing in that love frequency, fearlessness is coming more residing within you. So ADHD, which is you're always in the fear mode, that's what it represents. So if you don't do, it's not about being scared, it's about, if I don't do this and do that, then I will be in trouble. It's just the program, right? So we have to take that fear out of you. And again, they are the fearlessness mushroom. So they just kind of help you calm, relax, and just really get you to align with what love means. What love means isn't to sacrifice yourself and your body to serve others who has been giving you the agenda. Love means you have a love relationship with yourself in this earth. Not being selfish is very different than selfish person is the person representing lack of love. Person who love themselves bringing in everything out of love. If I love myself and love you and the earth, then what is my decision? And that's what it should be simple, but we can't do that because again, because under the fear conditions. And they just happen to kind of assist us to understand what that really means. What is really loving yourself represents? That's what I noticed they can help you with.
All right. Well, I'm convinced.
That's beautiful.
It is. It's super interesting. It's funny, this week we did another interview earlier this week, and one of the aspects of that interview was really about Jesus Christ and fear, about how fear separates us from ourselves and from love, basically. Anywho, I'm
Can I ask a
excited
question
to
about
know
the
more
grocery
about
stores
these.
really fast? Can I ask? Sorry, you said you don't go to normal grocery stores. This has been like top of mind since you said you don't go to normal grocery stores. So you must go to secret magical grocery stores. The next time you go to one in LA, can Diana and I come with you?
Well, there is no magical place. It's just it's just the Whole Foods or places like that. Who has more of a source for organic groceries, farmers
It's like a
market.
co-op market.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, co-op. Yeah, I love actually going to co-op. They are all organic, and their selection is much more wider on organic choices and more of a natural food than boxed and manufactured food. So yeah,
Right.
co-op is one of my favorite. Yes,
One of your favorite?
co-op.
Co-op market.
Right. Yeah. Even our vegetables, it's like, oh, they're wrapped in plastic or.
Oh yeah, even vegetables and. So what I mean by regular grocery store, you go to a regular grocery store and
Right.
then you see all these fruits and vegetables that is vibrant in colors and very big, which is all GMO based product, right? They're not supposed to look like that in nature. They don't look same exact shapes and colors as an apples or veggies, and they are all it almost look like manufactured, and that is right. Our fruits and vegetables are being manufactured and altered with the GMOs, and I can just feel it's just like what. And some people are like, oh, it's bigger, it's better, it's cheaper, but for me, like I'd rather just take one, very natural apple that does not have all that same color all around than 10 apples that looks like, a plastic red apple.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Gives me a lot of that. Apples happen to be one of my favorite things, and they also are expensive right now. And I think, why is that? Why is that this giant apple is, well over $1?
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes argue with my friend. My friend was here again talking about, oh, you should go to Costco. They have it for, a bag of this thing for X amount of dollars. And then why do you go to Whole Foods? Or I'm like, I'd rather just get one or two things because the idea behind Costco type of store is, oh, this is so cheap. It's only 99 cents. And then you get a whole bag of it. But actually, you're paying more because I'm just going to buy two little apples, right? Organic that I can actually consume versus people are bought by cheaper goods for more. And then what happens? You're actually paying more for 10 apples that is manufactured, but then there's an agenda. There's agenda of you actually spend more money and you're still playing with poverty consciousness that you don't have enough, so you should spend less by buying more. And then it also fit into pharmaceutical industry. Eat junk fruits and food from us, our partner, and then you get sick, and then you're gonna need pharmaceutical medicine. So this is why I don't like going to the mega stores, even though it's very attractive deal. Of course, they're gonna put an attractive deal for you, but I don't like those agendas. And people are more attractive to what they're offering in at your face of cheaper the better, but it's actually gonna cost you more in the end if you really were bought to that idea.
Right. I wish I could grow more of my own, frankly. So be a lot more in control of the nutrient quality and even the cost in the long run.
Totally. Yeah.
That's another interview. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about
Is there
that.
anything else that I can answer you about the Amanita or Blue Lotus?
No, we would just love to know if people want to get in touch with you, if they'd like to attend one of your ceremonies or, book a healing with you. How can our listeners find you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so I have a website called healwithyuri.com. So you can find all my sessions and ceremony through there. And Heal with Yuri at Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I don't do as many as what they said I should, but I am available through those. I have a full moon ceremony happening every month. Sometimes I do 2-3 full moon ceremonies over Zoom, in person at the events. I have one coming up actually on this Saturday at Long Beach at a Golden Sail Hotel at 6 p.m. for in-person ceremony. I also have one coming up in Mystic Bookstore in Santa Monica, in person and over Zoom. I have that happening every month. It's one of the very economical way to engage and participate and understanding what I do and feel. And also I do retreats and workshops monthly in different areas in Southern California. Some I do it in San Diego, in LA, and up in Northern California as well. So the best way would be just stay in my newsletter. I only send that once or twice a month anyway. All about everything that is happening for that month, for events, ceremonies. So that's the best way to get in touch with me.
Beautiful. You have a beautiful website too, by the way. I thought I'd
Thank you.
All of your marketing materials are really gorgeous. Very nicely done. And people can work with you on Zoom because this podcast goes out all over the world. So
yeah,
they can connect with you virtually speaking.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have clients from Germany and South Africa, and I do Zoom session all the time. So yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I feel like we've opened up a whole Pandora's box.
Word for our sponsors, Oweli Supplements and CBD Pure, both whom have generously offered to give you 15% off using the SoulFam podcast coupon code SoulFam, SOULFAM, and free shipping. And trust me, when you're ordering stuff like this, it actually really adds up. You can save quite a bit of money, several dollars for every order. Both Lexi and I have worked with these products and their companies, and we have firsthand experience, and we really like these companies, sincerely. Oweli, OWELI.com, is a supplement company that uses natural ingredients based on ancient knowledge coupled with modern science, which sounds a lot like the SoulFam podcast. I am a huge supplement person. I take multiple supplements each day. The quality of Oweli supplements is high and effective, in my opinion. I take Move for joint health because I work out almost every day. I do yoga, I walk, I hike, I ride horses. And secondly, I mix collagen, peptides, hydrolyzed protein for a protein shake every day so I can be sure to get the right amount of protein in my body every day. And for women, I personally feel that's super important. CBD Pure, www.cbdpure.com, is made with non-GMO hemp grown without herbicides, pesticides, and other dangerous chemicals. Both Lexi and I feel like this is a stellar product. I use the CBD Pure 500 cream for pain in my neck from texting and working at a computer and a car accident I was in. Lexi uses CBD Pure Pet Health to help some of her posse of rescued cats who show up at her doorstep. They often have joint issues and other movement issues, and this product really seems to help Lexi's cats. Both products work superbly. No harmful side effects, at least from our experience. So once again, we thank our sponsors, CBD Pure and Oweli Supplements. We'll post links to both product lines on our Instagrams on my link tree and on YouTube and on our upcoming website, Patreon. Just remember the code for 15% off with free shipping, which once again adds up to a lot, is SoulFam, SOULFAM. That's SoulFam for our SoulFam.